gathered this morning to express our thanks to Mr. Marcel Ovalle for his generous gift of $760,000 to Holy Cross of San Antonio. Since the notice of this gift has gone out, I've been asked by a number of people, I've received telephone calls, and they want to know about this gift. Who is this man? How did you know him?
See, my mother was in a nursing home, and he used to go see her. And then all of a sudden he stopped. He wasn't going. It was 2 weeks, and I used to go see my mother on my day off every day. I mean, every day off I would go see her. And then she tells me one time, he says, "Tu tío hasn't been, no estaba aquí, anda a verlo a ver qué tiene." So I go out there and see how he's doing, and I go back and tell her he's doing all right. And then she tells me every time, before you get over here, go see him and come back and tell me how he's doing. So I used to go once a week, go see him, and then go see my mother, tell me he's all right. And then when I go out there, he used to tell me, "Quit coming out here so often, you have better things to do."
This, him leaving everything to Holy Cross, everybody asks, why? Well, we don't know. We kind of think that my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, who was a nun, kind of influenced him, because she used to tell him about, she used to teach at a school in Houston and here also, and she used to tell him how difficult it was sometimes for parents to send their kids to these Catholic schools, and especially in Houston. I think she worked in a poor area, how they struggled, to try to get their kids to go there, and the school itself was struggled to try to maintain the school. So we kind of think that might have, because we found a lot of letters that she would write to him while she was up there, and those are some of the things that she would say in those letters. So we kind of think that that's what influenced him. I mean, we really don't know any other reason.
He had believed that all of us should get an education. And I remember he would give me little words of advice to continue my education, which I did. And he would tell my mom, he says, make sure she goes to college. And I did. And I became a professional. I became a teacher.
The last time I met Marcelo, he was out on the street trying to take down some of the dead branches from his trees. And I had a really good conversation with him at that time. The most important thing I remember from that conversation was he said he regretted leaving the West Side. Even though St. Paul's is the Northwest and not very far from the West Side, wherever he lived over here, he seemed to be sorry that he had ever left it.
I said, my mother says, my mother has always told us, he's your tío Chelo. And that was it. My mother said that, and we all went by the rules. Tu tío Chelo, tu tía Tome. That was his sister. And they were, my tía Tome was the one that really also looked up for us and took care of us. And they had a car and took us to the grocery store with them. And we looked around and came back. And that's about the only time we rode in a car when we were little.
Because he always had a story. He was a storyteller.
We used to talk a lot. He used to talk about the war. That was his favorite subject.
In 1940, he joined the U.S. Army before the start of World War II.
He saw action in the European campaign. He was awarded some citations for bravery and also unit citations. His unit was credited with a lot of victories during the campaign. He got the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, and other citations. He was a very proud man, very reserved, but very proud of the fact that he served his country.
And he was very interesting. He knew about everything. He was a world of information.
He used to read a lot. And then after he moved, he used to work with San Antonio Light for years. He retired from that.
He had extensive vocabulary. I was always shocked to hear all his words when I was little, but that's the kind of man he was, a man of words. Few.
Él se daba a querer de muchas maneras, aunque él no tuviera mucho contacto con la gente. En platicar o en hablar, no. Era una persona muy respetuosa y muy breve. Él no hablaba mucho.
And then he started going to law school, St. Mary's Law School. He got his law degree, but he just never wanted to practice because he didn't want to be in front of people. He was just a very, very private man.
A very humble, a very kind person, a very loving person.
He was just somebody who was at church every morning, and I would speak with him. And at Christmas time, and when we were making visits to Ireland, he would give us an envelope with money. And that envelope and the little note always said, "No reciprocals."
That's just the way he was. I mean, the neighbors will tell you that, they would see him out there, he would wave, and if they would see him out mowing the grass, they'd try to go help him because, he was already up in years. And he would say, no, I can do this by myself. Just did not want to bother people.
When I wanted to help him twice, I wanted to help him cut the grass. Because I saw him out there trying to cut the grass, and I told him, I'll cut it for you. And she said, no, I can do it myself. And in fact, even his neighbors had offered. And he didn't want him to help him anything. And then somebody had hired somebody to go out there and cut the grass for him, and he ran them all.
Que como en tiempo de que caían las nueces, él las recogía, las quebraba. Ya te las daba, te hacía unas bolsitas con tu nombre, esta es para fulana de tal, esta es para la otra persona, y con los nombres, pero ya quebradas las nueces. Solo que te ponías ya a cortarlas, pero en realidad a sacarlas de las nueces, pero ya estaban quebradas. Solo que esa era otra manifestación, como él darse a querer, pero nomás te las daba y le daba las gracias. Ya para cuando le daba las gracias, él ya iba de espalda caminando porque no te esperaba nada. Sí, iba rápido.
That's the way it was. And the one thing he did, he had a lot of plums, a lot of figs. And there was about 5 or 6 fig trees all around the yard. And he had pecan trees. He had 3 big pecan trees. And what he used to do and pick up the figs and get some bags and send them to my wife because he knew that my wife loved figs. So that was it. And then the pecans, he used to send them and get them, peeled and all that. And he used to send them to some church. And he used to save a bag and send the bag to my wife.
De sus plantas, cortaba pedazos, hacía trasplantes y él los regalaba. A mí me regaló varias, me las dio también. Y aparte de eso, les llevaba a San Pablo a regalarlas también. Porque de esa manera él regalaba, él se daba a querer, dando plantas. Era un señor que nunca lo veía usted sentado o dioques. Siempre andaba él muy activo, muy trabajador.
But we never knew how old Marcelo was until he died. So he didn't look to be a person in his 90s. And my impression was that he died of old age.
So, I think that from the very beginning, a long, long time ago, he had already decided that, it was going to come here, whatever he had. And I don't think many people knew how much he had. Even the lawyer didn't know how much money he had. And he was very generous. As far as charities and, the church, he was very generous. To this day, I still get things addressed to him from all these different organizations that he used to contribute to. I'm still getting them. Some of I send back saying deceased, so they'll stop sending them, but some do and some don't. And I found also After he passed away, I mean, he kept checks, his checkbooks from years back, even when his sister was still alive, and she passed away in '66. And the more recent checkbooks of his checkbooks, every entry in there was some charitable thing. I mean, very few things other than your regular bills that you pay, but every other thing on there was that.
Era una persona muy reservada y sabía escoger a las personas, solo que no tengo idea por qué él dio el dinero, sus razones haber tenido, por qué, pero para mí esa persona, señor Ovalle, era así, sabía escoger a las personas.
In memory of Mr. Marcelo Ovalle, Holy Cross of San Antonio recognizes his devotion to Catholic education and his commitment to advance the mission of Holy Cross. February the 10th, 2011. Mr. and Mrs. Cepeda, we thank you.
Ay, tío, you didn't want all this recognition, but you deserved it. You were a quiet man, a quiet and humble man, and you deserve this.